Hey folks, this is Ben Yessel. We can talk about a few different things here. I'm going to be pretty busy this month, by the way, working on um, a fair bit of music that's going to be. Actually, how should I put this? Okay, this is kind of a weird thing. I, I guess that that they're trying to think of how to begin this whole train of thought here. In every state has some kind of competition, musical competition for high schoolers, especially. Washington State's, the same deal. We have a WMEA thing, the Washington Music Educators Association, uh, Washington State Solo Ensemble Contest. It's Washington State, Washington State Solo and Ensemble Contest, and there's like these district competitions that occur well before the state competition. The district competitions are in generally early February or something like that in March, and then the states in April or May, something like that. I think late April. So it's kind of like we've always had that in the past, and of course COVID-19 has kind of changed that a little bit. So anyway, folks involved in that are going to be, as far as I know, mailing in tapes um, by I think the February 5th or 6th, something like that. So I've been asked to accompany at least two different students on the piano. One piece is Mozart's Horn Concerto Number One. No, sorry, Mozart's Horn Concerto Number Three. Yeah, Mozart's Horn Concerto Number Three, the first movement, and then uh, also Paul Creston's Fantasy for trombone and piano. That Paul Creston piece is going to be killer. I didn't know when I said I could do it. I'd only be able to practice it basically within the next 2 weeks, and it would have to be down. So I mean, I have to approach this whole thing in terms of just staying with the trombonist. It just and then I have to wait for the guy to give me the music. I don't know when he's going to give it to me. I'm assuming, you know, very latest. I'll be calling him again tomorrow if I don't have it. I have to get cracking on that thing right now. It has to be down. I don't know when I'm have to rehearse with this trombonist. And all this is going to take a fair bit of time to practice every single day. So that's assuming that I had time to spare for this purpose to begin with. And fortunately, I do. But what I can't fathom is, and I will be asking for a bit of money, to do this. By the way, what I can't fathom is why all of a sudden I'm playing Paul Creston rather than somebody who is a piano performance major and has maybe a PhD in piano performance. I'm not. I mean, it's more money for me. I'm not complaining as long as I can pull it off okay. But it's just the time crunch. The COVID-19 thing has thrown off everything. I have, by the way, more than just a few students who are doing online lessons again because of COVID-19, Omicron. I am expected to get the vaccine, or sorry, that vaccine, the booster shot, sometime before I meet again with Seattle Philharmonic. Florida Symphony, I think, canceled their next concert. I don't know what they're going to do. We had great music that we were playing. It was great. I don't know what's going on here. And so it's all just really messed up. It's all really jacked up. And I'm just gonna do my best, But all these other pianists, they're not doing anything because they're afraid of getting COVID. Is that what's going on? That's insane. That's ridiculous. If I guess if they're older, they're afraid they might get COVID. That makes sense. But I mean, like life has to go on at some point. We can't just have COVID-19 issues and cancellations for the next 5 years, several years. That's insane. It's absolutely. I was saying this a year ago or so, easily. It's insane. Makes me not want to be on this planet anymore. When I have to keep, trying to get things done, and then no, it's canceled because of COVID. People won't come to a concert because of COVID. It's like I'm trying to organize my own like a recital finally, so I can play my own music, and I'm wondering if anybody's going to be there because of COVID. And every orchestra is dealing with the same thing. Everybody's trying to do their own recitals, doing the same thing. Whole education realm, colleges and every high schools are all dealing with the same thing. I'm in the same boat. Why should I be treated any differently than anybody else in terms of if people can get people to their concerts, why can't I? And also, if I am doing accompanying for other instrumentalists involved in the solo contest, why can't the other accompanists do what they need to do? Yeah, I'm asking the question, why? If they're old, that makes sense. Okay. But what about all people my age? What about people that are older than me? They're not too old. What is being old anyway? Is it 70, 80, 90? What number is it? And there are probably some that are younger than me that could play stinking well. But it's just a question of how many. It's like... Sorry, it gets blurry here and there. That wasn't the only thing I wanted to talk about, by the way. So I'm dealing with that this month. So if I don't make a lot of videos, or even if it seems like I'm really burned out, and I'm not really making a lot of sense in my videos, that's probably why. So, just saying that. I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the experience to do this. I just think that something like Paul Creston's fantasy trombone and piano, that should have been given to me quite a while back. For me to commit to something like this is absolutely insane. I'm just doing this because I don't think this person has any other option. So I'm gonna have to make it work somehow. So they're gonna make cuts. It just had. I don't know. I just I'm going to be owed a lot of money, and I'm going to play the dickens out of it. But I can't promise I'm going to play every single note. If you guys know about that piece, seriously, if you look up that piece, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I don't do a full time. I'm not a full time accompanist. This is not what I do. This is not my main gig. So sometimes I just not even what I do for my main gig is really what I want to do for the rest of my life anyway. So anyway, it's just there's something else I had to mention, and it's for all you guys that follow a lot of nutrition stuff and a lot of stuff on YouTube about diet and stuff. Okay, so one of the things, I won't say who, you guys probably know who it is if you've seen earlier videos like this. But one of the things I can't help but notice is that there are a lot of people that seem to be choosing one or two, at the most 3 different food groups, and that's it, to base their diet on. 3 actually makes some sense depending which 3 you're talking about. But this eating only certain kinds of foods from one food group only kind of thing is absolutely freaking ridiculous. Let me give you the idea of what I'm talking about. Because even if we pick something like vegetables, which is probably the most obvious food group that you can imagine somebody doing if they're only picking one food group in regard to that person being a complete vegan psycho, so to speak. Well, I mean, that person would probably be not getting their caloric intake that they need, unless they had an unbelievable amount of just an insane ability to eat tons of fiber in the form of vegetables. There's no way you can get to even. How would you be able to get to even 1,000 calories a day? That's absolutely impossible if you're just having vegetables. It's impossible. I mean, 500 calories is more realistic, and 500 calories, you don't want to do that for very long. That's 1/4 of an average man, or I don't know. It's not much calories at all. You're gonna be thin, you know. But if someone had vegetables only, uh, would that be a complete diet? No, no. Well, if you're having a lot of dark greens, if you're eating a lot of dark greens and yeah, I'd say you're probably doing pretty well. Of course, everybody's wondering sometimes how much nutrients you're actually absorbing from plants, because this concept of anti-nutrients in plants is something that I've heard about, but I still don't put a ton of importance on. The thing about, as I mentioned this before, the thing about vegetables is that dark green leafy vegetables, those in particular, they kind of give you a wide variety of nutrients without the nutrients themselves necessarily being too rich, unless we're talking about things like vitamin K in dark greens, or vitamin A, or vitamins more, but also some of the minerals that are still can be found in pretty considerable amounts. But no, that vegetable only person. I mean, let's say we're even including fermented vegetables for some additional vitamin K2, I think, something natto or something. I don't know, or kimchi, sauerkraut for your gut. I mean, the vegetable only person is getting all kinds of, like, the mushrooms and the dark greens and the onions and the Swiss chard and spinach, or whatever, and the marrow vegetables, cucumber, and the lettuces, and the carrot, celery, apiaceae family, whatever, and also probably some fresh herbs, and also I mentioned onions probably already, green onions, the allium family, and also um, peppers and some solanaceae stuff, but also the sweet potatoes, yam, arena, um, tomatoes. I don't. So all those guys. Even so, that person is probably going to eat something else, not just vegetables. So let's say you combine vegetables with nuts and seeds. That's more reasonable. That's still pretty hardcore though. But I could see somebody actually doing that. But it's really wow. I mean, wow. It's I still think that person is going to be rather hungry, and you have to be watching how much are you getting your complete proteins. Um, Even with vegetables, I would definitely doubt that you're getting enough protein. Vegetables only, unless I don't know, jeez. But with vegetables plus nuts and seeds, that could work. It just it would really feel like, I don't know. So if somebody did vegetables, nuts and seeds, and healthy animal protein, more like the egg, fish, poultry, a little bit of red meat, that's a diet that I've done for short periods of time, short, only those three, and that particular diet um, could work rather well for a longer period of time. I think that's a very good, low carb diet. Um, After if you add additional food groups to those three, um, you probably want to add uh, beans, maybe. Good chance it's good. Dairy, not as much. not so much. Yeah, but I mean, I'm not saying absolutely none. Just and fruit. We all, I think, know at this point that berries are the best, and but fruit would be one of the other ones to want to add in, and and then after that point, herbs and spices are a given. That's probably with vegetables, but and then drinking water. Everything after that. I don't know what I don't know. So, but it should probably go roughly in that order, like vegetables, nuts and seeds, animal protein. Well, actually, no, that's debatable. You could go vegan and stay with beans and fruits and stuff, and say dairy is bad. But what I'm trying to say is that vegetables plus some kind of more richer calorie source that has more minerals, like beans. That's like yeah, beans, but also nuts and seeds, more nuts and seeds, and also animal proteins in lower amounts, somewhat. It's really probably the best way to go for almost everyone. Maybe add in some fruit, especially berries, and a little bit of beans here and there, and a little bit of butter for cooking or whatever, Greek yogurt if you want. But it's all about quantity. It's all about your caloric expenditures, and what a lot of folks do, and our goal here is just to get what our body needs, but also not eat what our body doesn't need. And um, how I still feel like this all works is that vegetables tend to do the repairing of things in the body, along with fruits a little bit, but vegetables in particular are really the kinds of foods that um, make help you stay healthy in terms of kicking out the diseases, in terms of keeping you young looking and keeping everything in good condition. That's what vegetables do. Fruits do the same thing, plus the sweetness of the fructose and that sort of thing, glucose. So it's fruits are great for energy. That's why they're a little bit more of a fuel food, but they also but it's like we need to all be eating more like a ratio of like three vegetable servings to one fruit serving, or more vegetables to fruit, or at least 2 to 1. If we do a 1 to 1, that's talking about maybe little kids at that point, um, or it's just not as feasible for most adults, especially past a certain age. But those berries, especially like raspberries and blueberries, they are good, and they have their place. Blackberries, so. But the thing is, so I mean, nuts and seeds are great. They're probably the best snack foods, and beans, along with your cooked vegetables and animal proteins, are kind of great, meal foods, like for what's for dinner. A little bit of dairy, not much, and fruits to dessert. That's the ticket. Um, so this is the conversation. This is the train of thought that I don't see online so often. I don't see this train of thought. People aren't thinking about um, vitamins and minerals um, and also other things in foods that they don't need that they can just get rid of. Eat these other things that are natural foods and they'll be good. And the fiber, how it helps you, and the omega-3 fatty acids, how it's good for your brain, and fish is good for you. It's you know, these kinds of things, and also the quality of animal foods, they're not discussed as much amongst many folks online. No, instead of all that, it's like a lot of folks seem to not realize that when you leave out food groups just to simplify your diet or see what's, I don't know, that's not the right way to do things, because what's happening is that you're not going to get what's in those healthy foods. The only time you should totally take out a whole food group altogether is for a short period of time, and you want to add that in, but in certain amounts, controlled amounts. And you know, I think um, we're more or less designed as humans to eat the following food groups: vegetables, some fruits, beans, nuts and seeds, and it's also really good if you soak them beforehand. I didn't mention grains, but grains, a little bit is probably fine. Grains and beans, but maybe a little bit more beans than grains. Some starches, and some animal proteins so that you can, especially the lean stuff like the eggs and the fish and the poultry, so you can make sure you have those complete proteins so you don't satisfy hunger very well. And it feeds those muscles. And some dairy, if you want, a little bit of dairy. That's what we're designed to eat. We're not really designed to eat. You can have dark chocolate a little bit. That's probably fine. But we're not designed to eat or to consume massive amounts of soda or juice or candy, of course. And we're not designed to consume, I don't know, massive amounts of red meat or massive amounts of dairy or massive amounts of potatoes, unless we're in extremely good shape. And you know, but not for, I don't know. You can do worse than potatoes, but that's how we're designed as human beings. And um, avocados, I guess, a group avocados and olives, olives and avocados. I can't even talk right now. Olives and avocados I kind of group with the nuts and seeds, uh, oils and stuff. And I just kind of feel like it's the conversation should resolve more around um, good, better, best, rather than just leaving out an entire food group altogether. It's just an archaic way of thinking. It really is. From 2022 on, we shouldn't entertain thoughts of only limiting ourselves to a few different food groups. That's silly. Um, any vegan out there is going to be eating most every plant food group there is, because they're not getting their nutrients and calories from meat and dairy and stuff. Anyway, hopefully I've said what I think here. Um, Anything else for this video? Like I said, I'm gonna be very busy, and I'm just gonna try to get to what I need to get to, and be a responsible, hardworking guy. All right, you guys take care. Leave your thoughts, comments below. Catch you guys later. Take care. Bye.